Hello, I am back with another tutorial. It's been a while since I've done a tutorial on this channel, and today this is no ordinary tutorial. This is a knitting tutorial. I know, who am I? Thought I was a crocheter, maybe I'm a knitter, maybe. No, let's not get carried away here. If you watch my channel and my videos, you know I'm very new to knitting, so what business do I have doing a tutorial? Well, I've recently been making loads of hats. Let me show you. I've been making a bunch of hats, and I, dare I say, have the absolute perfect hat pattern that I have come up with based on, you know, a couple different things that I had done before. So as a beginner knitter, all I've been doing is making these hats. So I shared them on my social media and everyone was like, what pattern did you use? Where did you get the pattern? How did you do these? Well, I made it up, guys. I made it up based on a couple different things I'd seen around, not like completely out of nowhere. I looked up like a size guide for figuring out the cast on count for different head circumferences, and then did some of it by like feeling or like based on other hats that I'd made before. The decrease part, I adapted another hat pattern to the stitch count. So yeah, but I have come up with the perfect hat, the perfect beanie knitted pattern. So I thought I would share it here in tutorial form. As I said, I'm a pretty beginner knitter, so if I say any of the wrong terms or do anything that's a little bit weird or a little bit wrong, sorry, I'm new to this. I'm no expert, but I will make it super easy to follow. You guys that are beginners also should be able to pick this up. I'm not going to explain the individual skills too much. You can look up different tutorials if you are a complete beginner, but yeah, I will take you through the whole process of making a hat like this. So let's get into it. The yarn I'm using, and it's what I've used for most of my hats that I've made, is this Aran from Hobbycraft. It's the leader of the pack one, so it's got alpaca in it. Let's see what the makeup is. 90% acrylic, 10% alpaca. Aran weight, and I just used one ball of it. It's 100 grams, but it's 170 meters. So, and that I have some left over when I do it. So that's all you'll need. Nice and easy. And then with it, I'm using a circular needle, 5mm circular needle. Sorry, it's already got the beginning of the hat on it because I did already film that cast on section. But yeah, just a 5mm circular needle and one of these circular stitch markers. I recommend also, I guess you can use a regular stitch marker, but I find that easier. And that's all you need, just a pair of scissors, a good attitude, you know, the usuals. Let's go. Hi, it's me from the future. I just finished up this tutorial and I forgot to mention at the beginning that you're also going to need 4 5mm double pointed needles. This is for later on when we're doing the decreases on the hat and they don't fit on the circular needles anymore. So yeah, you're also going to need some of these. Okay, so we're going to start by taking 3 times the amount of yarn that you should need. Because this is a hat, I literally just wrap it around my head 3 times and doing a slip knot, and this is to cast on. We're going to cast on 88 stitches. So taking our circular needles, these are a 5mm needle, I'm going to just cast on 88 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and of course, like, don't cast on too tight because we've got to work into these stitches in the next row. So just nice, loose and consistent tension for this 88 stitches. Okay, so once you have your 88 stitches on your needle, you're going to want to make sure that all of the stitches are facing the same way. So facing inwards like this. We don't want it to be twisted when we start our first row. So once you're sure all of your stitches are facing the right way, then we're going to just start with a rib stitch, and this is how we're going to do the entire brim of the hat. It's quite a large section, but it's going to be folded. So you're going to take a stitch marker and place it in this gap here. This is basically just marking the start of each row so we don't lose count. So we're going to just work up this. So first we're going to work the brim. We're going to start with the brim of the hat, which is just a rib stitch. So knit 1, purl 1, knit 1, purl 1, alternating that the whole time. It's going to be quite a large section, but it's because it's folded. So we're just gonna make sure we're going in the right side, all of our stitches are facing the right way, and we're just going to start with the knit stitch. So knit, and then we're going straight into the purl, back to the knit, and then of course back to the purl. So we're just going to do this for the entire row, and I'll come back to you at the end of this row. Okay, so once you've gone back round to the beginning, that was about there. I just did a couple more stitches into the next row. Make sure you're moving your stitch marker always in the same place, just moving it onto the next needle in between stitches before you start your next row. Also remember, you're always starting your row with a knit stitch, always ending it with a purl stitch. So yeah, you're just going to repeat that until you have approximately 40 rows, or till your ribbing section measures 16 centimeters. You can obviously do it longer if you want, it's going to be folded, but that's the width I've got. So just keep on repeating that. Carry on doing this until you have your whole ribbing section here, and then I'll be back to start the body part. Okay, so once your rib section measures 18 centimeters, we're going to start working on the body. The body part, before we do the decreases, is kind of only about this big. It's not too bad. We're gonna go until it measures 16 centimeters, but 16 centimeters this time with the rib part folded. That's going to be our reference point. So I'm just going to unfold it while I'm making it, just because it's easier, but when you go in and measure it, you'll measure it with it folded. So from now on, we're done with the knit one, purl one, and we're literally just going to knit every single stitch. So you're just going to go in and literally knit every single stitch of the row and keep on going until, with the rib part folded, your body measures 16 centimeters. When you get round to the ring, your stitch marker ring, do exactly as we've been doing so far. Move it onto your next hook and just continue. We're just doing knit stitches for the whole thing. Okay, so once you have your body section done, just the knit stitches, it should measure, like I said before, about 16 centimeters. So as you can see, that's what mine is measuring, and like I said before, also it's with the brim folded. So once we've done that, we can now start working on the decrease rows. For the decrease rows, I recommend trying to keep track of each row number. I'm going to use one of these little stitch counter things to do it. Okay, so what we're going to start with first for our first row of decreases is knit 9, knit 2 together. So I've already got one knit stitch on my needle, just because I usually do that to keep the stitch marker from not falling off. So I've already got one, so we're just going to go ahead and do 8 more. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now we've got our knit 9, we're going to do knit 2 together. So I'm going to take these 2 stitches and just knit them like normal but together. So, and then we're just going to continue doing that for the whole of this row. The maths should be right, so you should get back round to your stitch marker, and then I'll come back to you for the next row. Okay, so I'm back round to the beginning. I'm just doing my last knit 2 together here, moving over my stitch marker, and then the next row is just knit all the stitches. So we're not going to do decreases this row, we're just going to knit every stitch in the row, and again I'll come back to you at the beginning of row 3 of our decreasing section. Okay, I've started row 3. I thought I was filming that first section, but I wasn't, so I will talk you through it now. We just did our row 2, which was knitting all the stitches, and this row is going to be knit 8, knit 2 together. So I've just done the first set, but I will show you the second set. So it's just knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we'll do the knit 2 together, and then you just carry on, and you're basically just like we did on the first row, doing that all the way around until you get back to your stitch marker, and then I'll check in with you again for row 4. Okay, so I've done all of my decreases for row 3, and then row 4 is nice and easy. It's another knit all the stitches. You'll probably be able to tell that now, like, we're pretty much doing the same thing every time. With each decrease row, we're going down by 1 knit stitch, and then we're following it by a knit all stitches row, but later on that changes up, so I'll still go through every row individually with you guys, but row 4 knit all stitches. Okay, so row 5 is another decrease row, and it's going to be knit 7, knit 2 together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and then we're going to knit 2 together just like we have been doing on the other rows, and then we're going to go straight back into knit 7, and then knit 2 together, together, and then again you're just repeating that sequence around the whole thing until you get back to your stitch marker. And then row 6 is knit all the stitches again, so I will see you back here for row 7 where we will decrease again. Okay, I've just done row 6, so I'm going to change my stitch counter, and then we're also going to head on to row 7, which is another decrease row. This row we are going to do knit 6 together, knit 6, knit 2 together. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and knit 2 together. You'll notice now as we get less and less stitches, you have to kind of move them around the needle a bit more. If you have like interchangeable wires like I do and you have smaller ones, you can go in and change them out. This is my smallest one, so in a few rows I'm going to change onto double pointed needles, but I'll show you how I do that when I'm going to do it. But yeah, for now just carry on with the knit 6, knit 2 together until you get back round to the front, and then row 8 is going to be knit all stitches, so I'll come back for row 9. Okay, so now we're on to row 9, and you probably guessed what's next. It's knit 5, knit 2 together. So let's do that real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'll also be able to see our decreases coming together now, and they're usually nice and neat. So these are going to go together, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 together. And again, continue that all the way around. Do another row of knit stitches for row 10, and then I'll be back for row 11. Okay, so now we're on to row 11, and this is going to be knit 4, knit 2 together, and we're getting closer now to where I'm going to move the stitches onto some double pointed needles, because as you can see they're quite spread out, so it's getting trickier to, you know, push them around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and knit 2 together, and then of course, just like we've been doing, carry on that round all the way to the front, and for the next row knit all the stitches. Okay, so before I go on to row 13, I'm going to switch over to double pointed needles, and I'm also going to switch my stitch marker to a regular stitch marker, not a circular one, because otherwise it will fall off of our needles. So the next row is knit 3, knit 2 together, so I'm gonna move them onto the double pointed needles in groups of 5, basically making sure that the decrease stitches are on the same needle, otherwise I'll have to move them over as I'm going, which is a bit long. So I'm literally just pushing them from one needle to the next, and I'm gonna put them across 3 needles, and then the 4th one I'm going to use to knit with. So I'll come back once I've popped them all on the double pointed needles. These are a 5mm, just like the circular needle was. Okay, so I've got my 3 double pointed needles in, and that's just come off there. So this is the end of the row, so I'm going to take this stitch and hook it through the whole stitch just so I can keep an eye on where the end of the row is. So now for row 13, it's going to be exactly the same as we've been doing, but obviously we're working now with these needles, and we're going to start with knit 3, knit 2 together. So the first one's always a bit tricky when you're going from one set of needles to the other. So 1, 2, 3, and then 2 together. 1, 2, 3, 2 together. 1, 2, 3, and then our last 2 stitches we will do together. And now we'll keep those on that stitch and use this needle to work into these stitches, and then you're just going to carry on knit 3, knit 2 together on this needle, knit 3 and knit 2 together on this needle, and once you go through that last stitch, remember to move your stitch marker into your next final stitch, and then we'll go on to the next row. Okay, so once you've done row 13, I've moved my stitch marker up. Row 14 and row 15 are both knit all stitches, so you're going to do 2 rows now where you're just knitting all of the stitches between these needles, and then I'll come right back for the next row. Okay, so we're back again, and the next row is going to be knit 2, knit 2 together. So we're getting to the end. After this we've only got 2 more rows, so 1, 2, then 2 together, 1, 2, 2 together, and just like the other rows, continue this all the way around, and I will be back once I've done the row. Okay, this is what we're looking like. We're on our penultimate row now, so we're just gonna do a row of knitting all the stitches, and then for the final row it's knit 1, knit 2 together. So 1 row of knitting all the stitches, and then your final row is knit 1, knit 2 together. And once you've done that, once I've done that, I will be back to show you how to finish it off, and then it's done. Okay, now it is time to finish all of this off. We can take the stitch marker out because we don't need her anymore. I'm just gonna cut a decent amount of a tail just to sew it all in, but you don't need it to be too long. You're gonna take a nice chunky darning needle, thread it up, and then you're literally just going to thread it through each of your stitches, starting obviously where you would normally start in the row. Just gonna go through every single one, take out the needles once you've got them threaded through, and then make sure that's not tangled. Last needle, and then you're just gonna pull it tight. Let me just show you, like this, as tight as it can go. That's our nice little join there. Look at our lovely increases. And then I usually like to just go through the top. You can obviously like fasten this off however you like, but I like to go through the top, pull it as tight as possible, and do a little knot. This is just like a little security knot just in case you don't weave in your ends too well. And then I'm just gonna go through a couple of rows to weave it in. Obviously, like I said, you can weave in however you want, but I like to just kind of go through a few random bits and making sure not to go through to the other side too much, or like not follow the rows it's going on, and also to not pull it too tight because you don't want to like change the shape, but we just want to secure it into place. So once that's secure, I think that will do. I'm just gonna cut it, and I'm gonna also sew in this from the beginning, and there are only loose ends, which is delightful. I usually like to tighten up where I joined on because it sometimes can be a little loose. Don't know if that's something that I can fix or just the way it goes. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm a beginner, so I don't really know if what I'm doing is right a lot of the time. But for these bits, I like to just go like in and out of the stitches because I don't want it to show up too much. So I just go down a bit and then I go up a bit. It's not too major because it's already knotted into place, but you know, nice to make it as secure as possible. Trim that off. And the hat obviously looks a little crazy when it's out like that, but with the folded brim, what you can do if you want is put a little stitch on either side of your brim just to make sure it stays in place when you're wearing it. This sort of yarn that I'm using, because of the little like fuzz it's got to it, it pretty much stays in place when I'm wearing it, so I don't really need to do that, but you definitely could if you were worried about that kind of slipping down and it would annoy you or whatever. But yeah, here she is. She's done. She's super cute. This is the nice increases. Stunner. Mine's a bit lumpy and bumpy, but that's okay. There you go. Okay, I am gonna leave the video of the... Oh, if only my hair wasn't up, I'd put the hat on for the outro. I'm gonna leave the video there. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope it was correct and in-depth enough for you guys to follow. Like I said at the beginning, I'm pretty new to knitting, so hopefully I, you know, made it easy enough to follow for you guys. If you want more tutorials, I've got plenty on my page to check out. They are crochet tutorials. This is my first knitted tutorial, but I've done a bunch of knitted projects like in my crochet vlogs here and there will definitely be some more to come. So if there's anything particular you want to see, let me know. If you enjoyed this tutorial, give it a like. That always helps. And I'd like to know if you guys want to see more knitted projects, or if you're like, nah, let's just have more crochet, because I'm up for both, to be honest. I'm really enjoying my knitting journey. So yeah, I won't ramble on too much. Here she is. I hope yours is also as cute as mine and you enjoyed. I'll see you later. Bye!